Okay, so last night I was having a conversation with Sonia Hightower Labasco, and this is how it ended. Listen to this. Beach, this person returned to the hotel. It is important to note that blank never set foot near the Capitol grounds. In fact, suffers from a disability that makes it difficult for her to walk. This air marshal with 27 years of experience, do you remember this case? What was he assigned to do?
I do, and that's his wife we're talking about, Glenn. He is the special ops air marshal. He actually assigns the teams of air marshals to follow these individuals that are on Quiet Skies or a selectee. So this air marshal actually came into duty. It was his job to assign the missions for that day, opened his computer and saw a photograph of his wife listed as a suspected domestic terrorist, knowing that she had nothing to do with the Capitol. She didn't even go to the Capitol that day, and we proved that through many, many different ways, from geo-tracking, her cell phone, her Uber receipts, you name it. Right. We proved it.
I've got less than a minute. You have to tell me if this is true. Did we actually use the air marshals to track a 4-week-old baby?
Yes, Glenn, we're doing that now. The baby's 8 weeks old. The baby was not even conceived. It's an 8-week-old baby who's on the terrorist watch list. That is correct.
I didn't have time to fully delve into why our air marshals are following, and I bet it's not hard to track, the 8-week-old newborn that is now on the terrorist watch list. Now, one of my kids, two of my kids, they were born with, I believe, explosive stuff in their system, and when they would drop a bomb sometimes, it was nasty. But I never thought we should call an air marshal. But apparently, at 8 weeks, I mean, that's basic boot camp, isn't it? 8 weeks. What can these babies do to us? Sonia is with us again. Sonia, tell us the story of the 8-week-old baby.
Okay, Glenn, this story was just broke by Uncover DC and Wendy Mahoney. This 8-week-old baby is on the terrorist watch list, and it's not just one air marshal that's going to be assigned. It's going to be a minimum of 3. So you're going to have 3 air marshals following this 8-week-old baby, no matter if the baby travels with their grandparents, if the baby just travels with cousins. It doesn't matter. Once the baby's on the list by their name, the baby is going to stay on that list.
Okay, hang on. Did the parents do something?
The father, I think they got him for parading at January the 6th. I think he did face a charge. I think he did walk through, he either walked through the Capitol or he did something of that nature on January the 6th.
Oh my gosh, now, not parading.
And this, I think this is his fiance that booked the tickets for her and the baby. I don't know that they're married. I think this was his fiance that she booked the tickets for her and the baby to go on, I think, a holiday vacation down to Puerto Rico.
So he wasn't even with them.
No, he wasn't with them then. No, he wasn't.
Huh.
So he's with them now. They are a family. So they were flying down to visit family, I think, down in Puerto Rico. And lo and behold, they get to the airport. She gets to the airport. They print out the boarding passes. And here's the baby. As you can see, I think I sent you the picture. It's the infant. It's the infant on the boarding pass. It says INFT. And then it has the 4 quad S's showcasing that they're on the watch list.
Well, has the baby blown anything up? I mean, I just have to ask. I mean, is the baby involved in things right now? I mean, you never can
Baby
tell.
wasn't even born. Baby wasn't even conceived. Wasn't even born then. Wasn't even a thought at that moment. This was, back in January of 2021. We're going 3 years later into this. And I knew that we had been following a 6-year-old boy and a 9-year-old child. I knew that. That was a new all-time low for the information we received. But when we received the information on the 8-week-old baby, how low can you go within the government for these to pacify the swamp, right? Because this is who we're pacifying in TSA with the air marshals. We are pacifying the swamp members that want Americans targeted because they exercised their First Amendment right or they attended a rally or they weren't even there. Anybody affiliated with January the 6th, whether you were at the Capitol or the rally, it does not matter. The swamp wants you targeted.
So to give people perspective, and Sonia, I believe one of the I think we did two things right after 9/11. We put air marshals on the plane, and we made the door to the pilots bulletproof. Those two things, I think, are the best things we ever did. Everything else was just government nonsense for the most part, I think, at least the way it's been executed. The air marshals are not on board of our planes now because they're not only just following babies and children, but they are also on our border, correct?
That is correct, Glenn. We have been forced to go down to the border for over 2 years now. The Air Marshal National Council, the group I work with, we've been fighting that because we know that we have very limited resources in the first place. I mean, the Air Marshals are only a couple of thousand specialty group inside of TSA, which TSA is a big administrative 65,000 bureaucratic agency. And then you've got this little small law enforcement component inside of this administrative agency, and they're smothering our duties as law enforcement with all their bureaucratic administrative red tape that they're using for a political agenda.
And our air marshals are doing what on the border?
They are doing non-law enforcement duties. Non-law enforcement. They are driving people to the hospital. They are walking around the facility once an hour and checking a box saying, well, everything's quiet. I didn't see any doors unlocked. They're at the front gate signing vehicles in and out. Okay, well, there's a delivery. All right, this person came in at 2:00 in the afternoon. They left at 2:30. They're handing out water. They're making sandwiches. They are doing nothing that they should be doing to thwart hijackings in the aircraft.
What's your biggest concern on all of this?
My biggest concern is we're going to have another 9/11, Glenn. We're blinking red. If there was ever a time in this country it's not even incompetence. I used to think this was incompetence. This is intentional. How can you take the only resource we have from the air and put them down on the border to do no duties? That's the thing. We're not even doing anything down there, and we're letting the American people, we're ushering in illegals, we're catering to the illegals, and the American people who buy plane tickets and pay security fees and expect to be safe have nobody looking out for them.
You know what's amazing to me is I didn't even put I didn't even think of the air marshals. Story after story, sometimes it feels like it's once a week. We'll hear about some crazy person on a plane that started an argument or whatever, and not once have I thought, wait a minute, where's the air marshal? Because usually the air marshals are the ones that, hey, sit down if there's a problem. You don't usually have to land the plane right away for some jerk, which the airlines have been doing. All these incidences of these jerks on planes, that's maybe happening more often because we don't have an air marshal. Is that logical?
Glenn, that's logical. Look, and these have been some very serious incidents. If you look over the last 2 years just alone where we're fighting, we know that air marshals are on the border, we've had flight attendants stabbed. We have breaches of the cockpit. Wait.
What?
Yes, we've had United Flight 2609 from Los Angeles to Boston. In 2022, there was a flight attendant stabbed on that aircraft. That's correct.
What did they use? A plastic knife?
He went in. We're not sure where he got it. He made some type of homemade shank in the bathroom. We don't know if he had it on him or did he get a spoon. We don't know how he did this, but he made a shank.
Okay, so that happened in the last 2 years, and we still don't know how he did that. Okay, and then the cockpits have been breached?
Yes, there's been level 4 threats that's been called out with the captain stating that the cockpits were trying to breach the cockpit. There's been incident after incident that has happened, and every one of these incidents were normal flights air marshals would have been on. The long-haul flights, remember, that's what al-Qaeda took our planes for when they took them. They took the planes with the most fuel. So that's East Coast to West Coast. Those are flights we normally would have been on, but we're not on those flights because we're at the border or we're following January 2021 people that potentially were at the rally or at the Capitol. That's what our duties are doing.
Your organization, you represent the federal air marshals, and you've done this. How worried are the air marshals about? I mean, the country's at red alert. We know this. We've heard it. We've heard the Homeland Security say we're on high alert right now for terror. What are they saying? What are the actual air marshals saying? They got to be going crazy.
Going nuts, Glenn. They're going nuts because this is 22 years we've been fighting. Look, 22 years. A lot of the men and women that came over right after 9/11. 22 years that we have tried to prevent this from happening again. And we are being handcuffed by this administration, totally handcuffed. There's nothing we can do because this administration doesn't want us to do anything.
Okay, so what do we do? I mean, besides
we got to get out of TSA, Glenn. We got to get out. We got to get the air marshals to a law enforcement entity. This is what happens when you have an administrative bias, political biased association like TSA running a law enforcement program. They've weaponized the air marshals for their political gain. Well,
we're not going to send them to the FBI or any other government institution. I mean, I think they should be locally, wherever they're living, that airport should possibly do it. I mean, San Francisco, I think, is the only airport that doesn't hire the TSA to run their security, and they catch more things than any other airport. And I can't believe I'm giving credit to San Francisco, but you can't give it to another government agency. Sonia, thank you so much. I'd like to talk to you again on how we can serve you and help get our air marshals back on our planes. Something is going to happen, and there will be no doubt who exactly is responsible for terrorist activity in this country. You can name them right now. Sonia, thank you for exposing this. God bless you.